Hey there, the day has finally come. I get to dig my potatoes that I planted about the beginning of May, which is really early for our growing zone. And so this is the potato bed right here. It's actually been done growing now for a couple weeks. There's just a few plants left in here. So I'm really excited to see out of the 32 plants or potatoes that I planted in this garden bed, how many pounds of potatoes that produced in an 8 by 4 by 2 foot garden bed. And then I will also share with you garden bags at the end and how many potatoes I was able to get in a 2-gallon grow bag, 3-gallon grow bag, 10-gallon grow bag. So there's going to be an interesting, comparison as to what grew better potatoes in our area, whether it be a garden bed or garden bags. So here's the 8 by 4 foot garden bed, and I did 4 by 4 in each one of these sections. So there's 16 plants per section. So we're going to go ahead and start digging these up and see how many, pounds of potatoes each plant produced. Thankfully, the digging was really easy, and I could actually just do this with my hands by pulling apart the soil and just picking out the potatoes as I saw them. This side here that was closer to the house and more shaded actually grew more potatoes than this other side that's a little bit further away from the house. So as you can see upon closer observance, you can kind of see how much more is in this one. And what's also interesting is check out the size of this potato. It is humongous. So we love red potatoes. They're kind of our favorite. We definitely ended up with a lot of really nice sized ones. And now for the garden bags, which I did let get a little weed overgrown, but I'm excited to see how many potatoes are growing in all of these bags. Opening the flap, I don't necessarily see any potatoes, but this would be a really easy way to dump out the dirt to see the potatoes. So that's kind of fun. Once you start seeing the dirt come out and how many potatoes are coming out. So let's go ahead and get this whole thing dumped out and see what's in there. So here's about how many potatoes we ended up with. This being one of the larger potatoes. So pretty nice considering these garden bags were planted a little bit later in the season than the rest of my potatoes. So I'm pretty happy with what I ended up with. So out of 11 grow bags in the 10-gallon size and this 3 cubic foot one, here's about the amount of potatoes that we ended up with. About half of a milk crate. So not too bad. We did have a really dry season and some days I forgot to water them. So definitely watering grow bags makes a big difference. Now for all of the little 3-gallon grow bags to see how many potatoes we got in all of these. So out of 30 of the smaller grow bags, the 3 gallons, this is about how many I ended up with in my milk crate. About 2 potatoes per bag, which was kind of interesting to see. And again, watering the grow bags is going to make a huge difference. And I also noticed the plants that had, or the bags that had more damp water, meaning they were more shaded where I had them, they seemed to do better. So looking at these from this side, this one was the one from the smaller grow bags. These were the larger grow bags, the 10-gallon. And then these were from the 2 sections of the garden bed. So this top one being fuller, this one was in more of the shade, and this one was more in the sunny side of next to our house. So now I'm going to weigh these up and see which one actually produced the most potatoes. So I've gone ahead and zeroed out my scale with a milk crate on it. So now we're going to take the milk crate off. And we're going to put on the ones that were the smaller grow bags. Now, keeping in mind, these were about 30 plants. So I have about 18 pounds from 30 plants, give or take a little bit of dirt. I have about 17 pounds from the 28 plants in the larger grow bags. I have about 19 pounds on half of the garden bed that was in the shade. And then I have about 14 pounds on the garden bed that was more in the sun. Overall, my 70 plants between grow bags and the garden bed ended up producing about pounds of potatoes. So this year I only averaged a pound of potatoes per plant. A lot of that could do to moisture, not having these grow bags watered enough. And also we had a cool spring to start. So it'll be interesting to do this again next year and see how many pounds of potatoes I can average with about 70 plants. But now I have a better idea and I may have to start planting more potatoes.